TSM. I can't wait to see it.
For sure. Thank you so much, Moses. Simo, it's great to be back here for TSM and T1. This is the first cast that we were able to cast together, and we had a banger of the matchup the last time these two teams have met for the T1 Nerd Street Gamers Invitational. This time they meet each other versus the Faze Nerd Street Gamer Invitational as well. Split to start things off, and this is one of the maps where, chosen by TSM, they actually have like the same standard combo that we usually see. So I don't think in terms of agents, it should be that different from what we usually see from TSM in the past. So that's why you see the Sage is still there. So Hayes should be playing it, but it's going to be a banger of a series here.
Yeah. I kind of did mention it earlier on, but I might have to put some of my thoughts on pause because there's a little bit of an aggression here from T1 towards the middle. Drone, he's back on the Phoenix, so I think a matchup that they are really worried about or maybe concerned about or really want to come out on top. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So let's go back to something that we know, and boy, do we know how to play with Drone leading the charge. So we'll see what I think is probably going to be the Brimstone. Brack's going to find an early pick, the Brimstone for Sabrosa, but already there's a lot of action towards the middle here, and it's really going to go the way of the man advantage here for T1. Food just doing what Food does. He'll take out a lot of those members, and now Hayes, the last member standing here for TSM. Not a whole lot can be done, but the pistol on a defender's side of the map goes to T1 with what looks like to be coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and that's why like the kills look so casual, which is why you still had this lobby music being played like Elevator, because it was T1 just holding it so well towards that mid side. The lurk didn't work from TSM either. So now you're going to try to see if Hayes could actually clutch it, at least on a 4 versus 1. He has a spike. At this point, you're not looking for a save. You did go for some armor. Yes, maybe you could save that, but you still want to do the econ damage. Now he drops down. They're going to hear him. He spots first. He sees 2 guys, 1 from the spawn side. The orbs are coming down as well from the AZ. Oh, actually, AZ Key's playing as an Omen, so that's changed a bit, at least from the composition of T1 side. So now Hayes is going to have to repeat versus Skadoodle, who is keeping the stage to this map, and probably going to be the stage Opera 2. Going for that wide swing, he does get the kill stolen by Brax, who's playing as that Cypher, and T1 lights it up with the first pistol round in their favor.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting to see. It seems like both teams have doubled down to something that they are very used to playing in and around the beta or shortly after the game was released. You know, the compositions that really worked well for them during the T1 showdown way back when with Nerd Street Gamers. It looks like they're bringing it back to something a little... Yeah, there's a couple of changes. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but it's been a while since we've seen Skadoodle on the stage, and you know, maybe it's the map selection, maybe it's just they want to give a lot of respect to each other and give it back to you know, the respect of each other and give it back to some of the components of their play that worked so well in maps previous and months previous.
Satchel charges coming out here from Food, who's trying to get some pressure done on this mid side, and he will, as he falls back, gets the headshot onto Sabrosa, as the attackers of TSM had 4 players to start things off here towards this mid side. They are trying to go for some sort of a boost, but or a split rather. But the thing is, on the B side, where you have that Cypher playing with the camera, it's hard to do that split, so you're doing a lot of pressure towards this mid side. Now Food even gets some backup from Skadoodle, who gets headshotted by Cutler. Paint shells to come down. Cutler gets a second one. Long range in the face, but eats the paint shells at the same time. But so far, it's looking good for TSM on such a minimal buy. I think they really only have classics in their favor. Trying to go for a double swing. Hayes gets the kill onto AZK, who is trying to pressure back versus Wardell. So 2 guys super low on HP. There's a 24-second cooldown on to the heal. So they could wait for this and have one that's going to be full health with 10 seconds left on the clock to try to get a plant. So they're walking back towards the sewers to bring this timer onto their favor and being closer to a site to get a plant. But you still have a Phoenix playing on the top out there at the A ramp. Gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, but even then, like, you kind of roll the dice there and you say for the side of T1, can he win these 1v1s? Yes, he can. I was going to say, if they just swung together, they at least tag Crashies down, or they might even be able to at least trade, and then it's a 1v1. And in that scenario, TSM, they've got the upgraded weaponry to the SMGs. They have the Spectre. They can deal with the 1v1 with the player playing towards the B side. But Crashies, for some reason, TSM just peek him one at a time, and he can take those, right, easily, especially with the weapon advantage. So 2-0 start here for T1. It makes a whole lot of sense when you win the pistol. But now TSM, they will be on the gun round, and they're looking towards this A site, which once we start to have more rounds under our belt, we will see what the standard setup looks like. It does look like both duelists playing towards this A side, so expect a lot of damage towards TSM if they're able to survive. You know, Crashies, he's one away from the run it back there as Food goes aerial, not able to really find anybody, but Crashy is going to get to safety and maybe use the run it back here to clear out some of these angles, but instead just doubles back towards the A side, probably just giving a little bit more space to the attack, and the rest of the team from T1 has also made their way over in anticipation of a TSM push.
Definitely. And you can see it right now. So Broza's going to set to get the smokes towards his heaven side. And if they're trying to push into A, like you said here, Simo, the run it back here could get popped off. And then they might be able to just keep that busy to give it a chance here for the Omen to push back out as AZK. So Wardell is going to be the one on that operator looking back inside that site. They have a super passive crossfire set up for the defender side. So really some sort of a retake play, at least from AZK side. So we have to come up huge from this Phoenix inside the site as he's peeking out, and it's going to be Crash. He's picked off by Wardell. Should be an easy site to move in now. Paranoid will come out. Easy shot from Wardell for the second one onto AZK. And we're still attempting to go for some sort of retake if we could get an early kill here with Brax. Brax going face to face, but it's doubled up by Hayes. A Bulldog to the face, quickly traded out. And that is definitely going to be the call for Skadoodle to save, as TSM will get the first point on the board in this first half, but the first gun round into the game.
You know, every time Wardell gets a frag in this best of 3, I expect chat to be either spamming one of the two. He don't miss or stop the cap. One of the two is going to be spammed. But, you know, that's a great round for TSM, and they could be happy that they at least win the gun round, especially on a map like Split, where the attack rounds can come so far and few in between, especially when you're up against a team like T1, who at one point or another, both of these teams were in the #1 spot, and so looking to reclaim the throne through this tournament, especially for TSM, you know, having a lot more recent performances that can aid well for them. So having a look at this replay, Wardell, you know, to be honest, just had the crosshair in the right place at the right time. And Brax, unfortunately for him, could not really have a great opportunity. Yeah, he finds the one picked into the corner of the ramp, but now T1, not really sure what their weaponry looks like. I think they'll be okay, but in the round to follow, if TSM are able to squeeze out another one of these attack rounds, they'll at least start to gain some momentum back into their favor.
No more charge.
And now it's going to be an early pick from Skadoodle onto Wardell. So they're bringing sniper versus sniper, and it's Skadoodle that's going to come out unscathed and give the 1-man advantage in favor of T1 to start things off. But you see it right now from TSM. They are still trying to group up towards this A main while still having Hayes lurking out here towards his B side. And they've done this a lot as well versus Sentinels, and it hasn't really paid off into their favor at that point. So we have an early dark cover, from the Omen of AZK towards the front, but it's still going to give an area for Sobrosa to pick up the operator that's going to peek through, and Crashies gets punished for that one. So a bad smoke that's capitalized here from TSM, but a counter Paranoid to come through as AZK gets the kill onto Drone. Now a 3-on-2 situation with the spike down to get the res up for a 3 versus 3. The ult will be picked up by Wardell once it makes it back towards short. And that might be the call for them to fall back because they still have a lot of time to work with.
Doodle holding on here, but Wardell's going to find one early pick, and now as he sneaks around the corner into the wall and revenge, it's sweet. Still has to deal with Food. He's now under 3. As the Bulldog switches to the knives, and it's going to go straight to the dome. Now, the 1v1 Brax versus Wardell, and Brax already in the sewers. Here he comes, and the headshot connects, and T1, they continue their lead with a 2-0 start.
Holy crap, was that an attempt by Wardell, but at the same time, at low HP, with the time remaining, he thought the rotation was going to come in from ropes at some point, because knowing here that the Cypher being played by Brax on that B side has the faster rotation, going through ropes, going through heaven, and getting that 1 versus 1. But little does he know that while all this action, the slow play happening from TSM towards his A side, it gave a chance here for Brax to go for the huge flank through sewers, and already the upper hand on the angles. So that means that T1, they put 3 onto the board. They have Skadoodle, who is offing early towards the A side, now towards B, misses the shot, but Hayes was trying to capitalize on it. Skadoodle able to fall back. So a full gun on spill coming in for TSM. Boombot on the ground as Food is going to go for some paint shells as well towards his mid. But Wardell looking to counter with this operator as the smoke dissipates. Skadoodle still wins that fight versus Hayes, so that's 1 to fall towards B. You saw that spike being dropped intentionally towards Ramen, so they really wanted to go for that lurk play that worked last time where TSM did get that gun round.
T1 Skadoodle really wanting to win 2 majors in 2 games. You know, wants to have the CSGO belt and the Valorant belt to boot. So far, great performance coming out of him. And TSM, of course, down, remember, now have to decide what they want to do. Down 2, actually, as Brax holds the angle towards the stairways leading up from the mailroom. Now TSM down to 3. Have to go pick up that spike from Ramen. It's going to be very difficult. They need a couple of picks on this site over here to make it work. But having the man advantage for T1 allows them to spread things out, have members towards the A site, and just hold. Well, that's all they really need to do. TSM gaining a lot of ground towards Heaven here, but Food, he's going to be in a great position at the peak, but he's going to be taking out the headshot. Still wants more, and Drone, he'll be in position taking out Food. And now, down to the 2v4, TSM have got a very difficult task ahead of pushing into this B site.
100%, because on top of that, the spike is down towards this connector at the Ramen, as I said before. Able to get the entries, because of that, this 2 versus 2 into the site. It's a couple of trays. They're trying to get the gun kills, but there was still a 2 versus 1 with no time left, so a difficult task to actually overcome here for TSM, as it's looking good here for T1 on the defender side. And we sort of had a mixed buy actually for TSM on that round, Simo. They had an operator, they had a Vandal. I saw Cutler with a Sheriff, so they really tried to scramble across, work the economy onto their favor if they could do a lot of damage, and they were able to get 3 kills, but no spike plant, no round coming in. They're going to be the ones that are going to be on a save still.
Yeah, you know, considering that 3rd round, sorry, it was that 4th round where Wardell was running through the sewers and he died with the op. They bought another op in the round to follow, so they must have had their economy in a pretty decent spot to be able to afford that. So now, like you said, they're down to a very uncomfortable position. Brax, unfortunately, misses that cyber cage, and now they'll still make their way through here for TSM. Spike likely going to go down shortly, but that camera going to spot a lot of these members in the back of sight. Still, that camera will be taken out. Spike is down.
Joke's over! You're dead!
Have to run it back to clear things out. Remember, this is an eco, so any frags from TSM are good frags. Brax already with 2. Now trying to get into the back of sight. He's going to have to deal with crossfire. One is going to be good, and then with the run it back all along, Faze in a 2v5 with Explosive, taken out of Heaven. And it's the flawless round here for T1. Pretty understandable, but for TSM, it's a very important round for them to win coming up next, because if they don't, T1's going to have a really good first half here on the defensive side.
Oh yeah, you'll see TSM back on an E as well, Simo. But at least when you said that the cyber cage was kind of missed there on the entry inside B, they had to play that 5-minute retake. At least he was able to get another cyber cage to block off the entrance of the B side, so that they could actually just focus within the site. You saw how Crashies was just able to walk in through the Frost Orb, not even using any of his flashes. I don't even know if he had some left at that point, but point being is that he had the better kills moving in versus the pistols, and it was just difficult for TSM to get those crossfires from the backside into the entrance of the garage. But the slam up, it's going to be off for onboard Skadoodle onto 2 of the main fraggers of each roster, or 1 fragger of each roster, and that is going to be the Phoenix and the Brimstone falling down. So we do have at that point Crashies and Sabrosa down into this round. Into the wall. Oh, lands a shot midair onto Food. Showstopper gets no kills, and that is going to be TSM trying to turn things around very quickly on round number 7.
He don't miss. What part of that do you not understand, Food? I understand what he was going for, trying to get a little bit athletic, trying to get involved, but that showstopper, just as it was used, it'll be dissipated into thin air. We'll have to wait for a couple more ult points out of Food to get another one on board. But TSM, this may be a round that they can now afford to take. Of course, the Resurrection is still available. If Skadoodle finds an opportunity in this A push from TSM, he's likely going to get Food back into the mix, get that back available for the side of T1. But Wardell, he knows this. They're going to push in for A, and Wardell's just going to hold mid. He's like, if you're going to think for 1 second, I'm going to let you resurrect one of your teammates, you're wrong. So, unfortunately for TSM, Drone is going to find a little bit of information in the back of sight, but TSM, they still need to push in. And now here it comes. APK ready with a counter push. He's going to find 2. Sorry, not counter. Defense. And now 1 more underneath Heaven, likely going to get taken out shortly. Brax, unfortunately, misses that gun to one. Wardell in the middle. Now it's down to the 1v1. Wardell, after that resurrection, finds 2 and on Skadoodle, but there's no time for the spike plant. TSM going to lose yet another round, but very, very close round, despite how it looks right now. 6-1 lead here for T1.
Yeah, and it was greatly played at least for T1 on that defender side, right? They hear the run it back from Drone, they put a cyber cage up, they try to waste the time as the audio cues come through if Drone runs through the cyber cages. But on top of that, with that trap wire, they wasted a lot of time on that run it back, which means that Drone was only able to spot that player behind the screens, didn't have enough time to react for the player playing at the elbow. So that means that when TSM committed into the site, they were all focused on trying to take down the screens defender, and then it was an easy paranoia to come out from AZK. And with that, if they were able to spot AZK, the round would have been it for TSM because of those 2 kills from Wardell at mid side covering that res. So moment of salvation, at least for TSM, is that they're able to waste that res into this round. They keep an operator, so they're forcing into the buy. They're going on this gamble here, but he misses a shot and Food wins the fight. So that's an operator down, but as we peek out, there's going to be a couple of shares moving forward, a wall to come up as well, and now they've nullified all of that and also nullified the operator. Even a Satchel charge to come towards that back, a flash so they could peek out, courtesy of Food, kill onto Drone. Meanwhile, though, Hayes has made it into the site. He did win the fight against the Cypher, picked up the Phantom. They're going to try to go on a big flank here because you still have Cutler with the spike, who's running back towards that spawn to pick it up, actually, and they will come and meet up on the A side. So Hayes has to come up big, though, but Brax is in a great corner at the spawn side to take him down, and now it's looking also grim for Cutler and TSM. All they want is to get into the site, at least to get a spike plant.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. Almost a good play there from Hayes. Yes, he finds a great pick onto that site. It was AZK that was holding on. As Brack is playing a little bit more of a looser defensive role, you know, rotating from A towards B. But great presence of mind, and honestly, more so just great communication from the team. Hey, you lost one B, hold spawn. I need you to hold the stairs. We're just gonna hold on to heaven. We don't see anything. We're gonna keep an eye here on this mid to make sure TSM don't push up. We're going to wall it off. And if Brax dies there, then it's bad for T1 because things get crazy, right? It gives Cutler space to push in towards A. And, you know, they'll clear out Heaven on that A site. So great play from T1, even though it was a little bit of an eco for TSM. But now the gun round comes in. And yet another round that is very important. AZK is caught with a paranoia in his hand, and Wardell, he slices and he slices, but it's the doodle that ends the terror. Now, 3v4, fight going down. Let's see how T1 answers this retake.
Well, on top of that, you have a neural theft, so very difficult for T1 to try to come back into this round. And they go for the corner. So they force out Drone to peek out, and he wins that fight at least versus Skadoodle. So Brack's still on spawn side. Molly on the ground, wasting a lot of time so they could really focus just on the Heaven. And you can see it. Brax is already falling back. He's going to pick up the operator for Skadoodle, and they will decide to save these weapons. Crash these in a good angle at least to look for some exit kills and still run out safely. Because he still has a curveball in his favor to be able to run out. So at this point, it's safe to say it's going to be 7-2. He gets dinked on top of that, and there's the hot hands to try to pull him out, and he's going to try to retreat towards that spawn side. He will be able to do so. Oh, look at that. He still manages to stay alive no matter what here. It's going to be 7-2 for the remaining players of TSM, keeping 3 alive. But the econ damage is not really there yet. I'm pretty sure they still have a lot of money to work with. Indeed, they do here for T1.
Yeah, not to mention that they were able to save 2 of the weapons. That means that there's a lot less. I mean, obviously it means there's a lot less weapons to buy. And so now moving forward, TSM, they've got a little bit of momentum, but really there aren't too many rounds left. So at most, I mean, we could see a 7-5, but it's unlikely considering the circumstance of the map itself. Yes, T1 and TSM are great teams, but this is a defender-sided map. And T1, I expect a couple more at least to lay it on. 10-2 would be the worst possible case for TSM. They need at least 1 or 2 more rounds, and they need it as quick as possible. I think early, TSM try to push forward. It's a quick trade of frags, and AZK now the last defensive lineman here on this A site. And the contact point's going to come in very quickly. He's just trying to spray through. But already there's one below. It's Sabroza who snuck his way onto the site. Spike going down, and T1 very late now on the retake.
Yeah, it's good for T1 at least at that point, right? They want to say, look, we're not going to be very one-dimensional towards this map. We are going to try to push whenever we can. Yes, the first one was punished with crashies, but at least the trade was there from AZK. Now they're baiting out the shots. It's going to be a second peek coming out, but the smoke is going to come down to Cloudburst. That's going to prevent Skadoodle from going for that peek and fighting versus Wardell. But they have 2 players back towards this spawn site. So they soon dashing towards the right side. Now they can focus on Wardell. They might not know that Haze is in this corner either. Now a showstopper as he dashes towards the air. He goes for the uppers, and now it's still going to be a push moving forward. And AZK spams it across, but they don't know that Haze is in this smoke. So he's going to go for a huge backstab. The second kill. He gets a second kill, and that is going to be now a res for Drone. Now a 1 versus 1. That clock is still ticking down. What a res here to give the round for TSM to make sure that they get the round and solidify that. But boy, oh boy, was that an expensive round.
You know, considering it's 7-3, some of these rounds that T1 have been able to get through have been really, really close. And that has a lot of repercussions when it comes to the economy. But what that means for TSM is that regardless of the maps that follow, it's going to be a close series. Having a look at the replay, Haze, like, you called it perfect. They just had no idea that he was there. Res comes through, and even at this point, Haze being taken out, it's too late to defuse the spike. Too many seconds have passed, and that spike's going to go into TSM. That means that they could potentially win 1 or 2 more rounds here, and that's good for them. They'll be moving on to the favorable half, and T1 have to show us what they're capable of on the attacker side. So early looks on the round. A lot more mid control has been gained. Usually we'll see Skadoodle and Food fight for that mid control, throw that wall up, but this time, called it once again, not playing very one-dimensional, giving them a lot more space to work with.
So now Drone and company moving up from the ropes, looking for a split into the A side. Still another gun round coming in for T1. 1 at the elbow, 1 towards the left side, playing super passively here for the defenders. But Food's in a great position. Spotted Drone on this rotation as it's coming back towards spawn. Sabrosa, though, is in a great spot to try to counter it back. So he puts a molly on the ground, but at least the timing's off. So a favor coming in for T1 so they could focus on 3 players inside the A site now, but they have to act quick. So Frost Orbs on the ground, AZK still hopping around his corner, and Wardell this time is waiting for it. Food gets a kill onto Cutler, though Crashy's still in the back by the screen. The curveball to come out, that's going to land onto Haze, who's still pushing forward towards screen. We touched the wall up, so he can get advantage here of the elbow side, but he will not win that fight versus Crashies, who is still anchoring strong inside the back of the screens. So Wardell, with his teammate Sabrosa, will have to try to clutch here. This 2 versus 3, as Sabrosa is still on the top at Heaven.
Oh, Crashy's going perfect. Unfortunately, he's going to fall. Food there with the refrag, now down to the 2v1. Brax has finally joined the frame. Wardell has to play this massively. Spike going down. He doesn't have a whole lot of time. Food knows that, so has to force the issue. So T1 win yet another round. And looking at the economy, it's not too bad for TSM, but if they want to be able to... Oh, sorry, it's the last round. Doesn't even matter. They've got to force up, and it's not looking so good. So at the bare minimum, they've won 3. Having a look at this replay, we see how Crashies, I like how he played it, still playing it close to the map. He does end up falling, but, you know, Wardell doesn't have a whole lot of time to work with. But looking at this round that we're in now, it's not looking good for the economy's sake of TSM. We've seen some pretty nasty eco rounds in the Faze Clan Valorant Invitational. Will we see one here? We're about to find out.
Let's start off quick here. He's made it through the orb, but it sprayed through the smoke, so the run it back is gone. They know that Foos is up there. They basically know that from the whole half, right? 2 players playing towards his mid side, doubling up, nobody playing ropes, which is something that's changed as well since it's changes of split, because you could easily put a wall up, put a smoke, and then it's going to be an easier split. So you want to try to give them maybe ropes if you want. You can readjust by going crossfires onto the heaven side of A or crossfires towards the heaven side of B. So now it seems like it works well in their favor. They're going for the orbital strike towards the heaven, but goes for the 3K into the round. Food already there to support. Only 1 more player to go. He's going to be Cutler looking to clutch. He gets the first kill with a headshot onto Food. He takes his spike. He's on a 2 versus 1, but we have 2 ultimates right now for the defenders. Nothing here for Cyber Paranoia to come out first, and he's going to get wall banged, headshotted by Crashies. It's going to be 9-3 in favor of T1 on this first half, but TSM has the defender side now on their map pick.
Now, despite TSM now having the defender side, the biggest question becomes, how does this pistol pan out? And, you know, the first pistol, it's okay if you lose. It is a pretty big deal, but the second pistol is what really could change the momentum of the game and could give you that window of opportunity to close things out or close a lead against your opposition. And so for TSM, that could put us at 9-5. But for T1, if they win the pistol, that could put us at 11-3. TSM, they do not want that. This is their map pick. TSM brought T1 here, and it would be a shame for them to lose the map that they have chosen.
So they're hearing a lot of footsteps here with Sabrosa looking towards his Ramen. Trying to get the crosshair placement, trying to bait out shots is going to be the Phoenix on the other side. So Crashy's continuing to lurk around to try to have this wide swing coming through from Skadoodle at the same time. But as now nothing's really happening, there are doubling up 4 players to rotate back towards this mid side, and Brax still gets the first kill onto Wardell. As a lurker, as a Cypher towards the A main, gets that first kill. So now they open up the defense a bit. You see now the aggressive push happening from TSM towards his B side, trying to get some information, but they're giving so much in terms of mid control for T1.
I think that was the smoke from the middle there from ACK, trying to maybe sell a fake towards B, but they didn't really need to even sell it because they're convinced that it's still going to be the A push. And so in fact, with caster vision, we know that it's just the complete opposite stack on the opposite side. But for T1, that's good news. Once they go in towards this B site, there aren't too many tripwires available from the side of Cutler. There's only one in Heaven, I believe, that is theirs.
Yep.
But other than that, once they push it towards the B side, there's nothing there. It's only Crashies that is very likely going to get spotted out by that tripwire. There it goes. And now TSM are like, oh no. Gambled the wrong side. I mean, they saw action to it early, and I understand the read. Like, okay, there is one down. Let's try to hold this to see what happens. But now the retake on a pistol and the wall is up. It's going to be so hard to push in.
Yeah, and at least the rotation was quick, right? Cutler made sure that he kept looking at that minimap. As soon as it was broken, the rotate happened right away. So they had to focus on having a first trade, a second one to be attempted by Food, who's looking with the classic, but Cutler wins the fight. So somehow it's turned around. We have a 3 versus 3. It's still even, but Brax gets the first kill on this rotation as they finally make it into the sniper TSM. A second to fall, a third to fall, courtesy of AZK. So that pistol round that TSM really needed, that Simo was talking about here, is won by T1 as they're getting one step closer to actually dominate this first map versus TSM to bring it to 13.
Listen, I believe in the comeback as much as any TSM fan right now, but if you're just looking at this statistically, T1 have won the pistol, and for TSM, you either respect your own pistol and just gamble down and say, okay, we'll get it, we'll let it go 11-3, and then we're just going to come back. That's it. No excuses. We're just going to make it happen. But they're not gambling on the force up. They're believing in their own ability. We'll see how far that goes. Because for T1 to be 11-3, they don't have to win very many rounds to close it out. And then they go to their map pick, which is Bind. And that is one of TSM's least played maps. TSM loves Ascent. TSM loves Haven. And Bind, maybe not so much. So there's still an opportunity to come back, but we'll have to get there when we do. And for T1, they can at least sit comfortably with the weapons that they have. TSM still have the ability to take them out, but it's just harder with the weapons that they have.
Definitely. Now as they spot the first one towards this B Heaven, it's going to be Sabrosa, but we do have as well Haze on the other side, but the crossfire does not work. They both die instantly, and that is already B Heaven under control for T1. Only Cutler play inside the site, has the camera on top of that too, and as that camera gets blinded, he's going to have to call for some sort of rotation. It's
No
only
more charges left.
going to be drone rotate because you also have Brax all around towards this A side, so he's waiting for that fight, but Brax instead to play the safer route, falls back from the Heaven side. Nice think at least from Cutler, but he does not complete the kill.
Oh, that just feels so bad. Food and Crashies comboing those abilities together. Slow Orb and the Pain Shells sends Drone back to the graveyard, and now for Wardell, all on his lonesome. I mean, no use in saving the weapon that he's got. We'll see what he ends up doing, but I think he's honestly just hanging out, maybe looking for exits, because at this point, it's a 5-on-1. Even if you go in, would you either try to find 1 or 2 risky kills or 1 or 2 kills that are guaranteed but have a lower chance of actually happening? He's gambling on the latter, hoping that somebody walks into his open arms. I think they're just going to hang out in the defender spawn. I don't think they have any need to hunt, especially considering how close they are to map point. And for TSM, this is where the game begins, okay? They're going into the gun round, and so it is so important for them to just go on a streak. Like I can't emphasize it enough that they just need to win 7, 8, 9, 10 straight if they want to close this one out. Because T1, they find one, it's match point. TSM are going to be on the edge of their seat every single round, and they don't want to be in that position.
Yeah, at least the moment of salvation now for TSM is that they're not getting any upgrades for T1. They have 4 Spectres, Skadoodle the only one upgrading here to a Phantom, which is quite interesting at that point. I would probably just, well, I mean, at that point you could still buy for your teammates, right? It's still kind of, that's still doable to give Skadoodle that operator should they actually go for the next gun round in 2 rounds, should they lose this one. So it's okay at that point. That's the only upgrade for T1. The rest of them have Spectres. So this is going to be a big advantage for TSM to at least get that first point on the scoreboard for the momentum that they ever so need. So Hayes, the first one to put a wall up towards his mid side. He's trying to look towards the ground so that he could see if it's actually angled vertically right in front of him. Or straight ahead. And Patrick makes it across. He gets a dink in the kill. That's unfortunate right there. They break the wall right away, and they do have a curveball to work with. So they're grouping up towards Mail. They could try to get this curveball and move into this B side. As you still have Brax lurking back here towards this sewers, all 5 of them are grouping up towards mid. You will expect a mid to B split. But what's going to happen on the defense now is that they still have 3 players, though, of TSM. Oh, no. Sabrosa is actually rotating away already, so it's only going to be 2 players inside the site. A big hold that's going to have to come from Sabrosa and from Cutler.
You mean Wardell? Wardell.
Oh, yes, sorry, Wardell.
Yes, Wardell, he's hanging out, and I mean, he can really get the job done. Already ADSing with the Phantom, hoping somebody peeks him. Just do it. He won't miss, I promise. But there's the paranoia. They're a little worried. That's the showstopper. I would be even more concerned, but it's denied by the Clutchler. That's 2 for him. Wardell with the 3rd. They're really making this defense work. Now having to escape. He will get out of there. Sabrosa going to find another. All down to Crashies. The defense worked out perfectly for them. And now the Molotov to make matters even worse. He's still going to get the plant down for Wardell. He's feeling confident. The spray is good. And TSM live to see another day. So T1, not really sure what the economy looks like. Gonna probably say that they will have weapons to buy. And now we will have a competitive gun round between 2 teams in the second half.
That is so stressful when you hear a showstopper being pulled out by a Raze, and you're like, holy crap, we're only 2 players. We know this split is coming, but anybody else than those 2 players maybe would have been stressed out, but those guys are cool, calm, and collected at that point. A great hold. Look at that. Both of them pretty much on the vents. They were expecting some sort of pillar play, default play, but with both of them towards that catwalk side, they caught him off guard, and some great shots coming in from Cutler. That was 2 kills from him, 1 from Wardell that also dashed away, right? So everybody was still focused on trying to spray him towards his back spawn side. That gave a chance for Sabrosa on a quick rotation to get the first kill inside B Heaven. A great retake as well from Sabrosa from that play, helping out his teammates and giving this point on the scoreboard for this TSM side on defense. The good thing, though, is that they didn't spend that much money into this round. They should still have a full gun round here, but look at that. Food is already pushed through.
I love this. I love this play from Food. Now has to deal with 1 player up above. The spray is going to be good, and Hayes will at least nip that in the bud. However, T1 at this point, that's already a lot of information gained, right? No one's on this B site, so you can at least expect to walk in relatively free. Drone going to find the lurking Brax, and so that is finally punished. But at what cost? It's the 3v3. Now the retake for TSM. Molotov is a little late from Sabrosa, so that won't actually stop the plant. And now the post-plant positions will work out for T1. Skadoodle, he's got a great angle. Once he knows that all of these players are towards the opposite side, hold with his team. Now they come in. Crash is going to find 1 with the running back. He's going to find 2. And that's where Dell sent to the graveyard by Skadoodle. And T1 are at map point.
You love to see it when it's a mirror match, right? Who's going to be the better Phoenix? Who's going to be the better Sage? Or should I say the better operator at that point? Skadoodle gets his shot versus his opponent Wardell with the operator versus operator. Then you have Crashies moving in, flicking for that kill against Drone, playing as the best probably Phoenix in North America, in my opinion. So a great round that adds a lot of confidence for T1 to move into this round here. But that being said, though, the economy is probably not that great right now for TSM. Look at that. I saw a Bulldog really quickly. I saw a pistol. They don't have much to work with, so they have to try to move aggressively. And Sabrosa gets 3 kills towards his common side. And that is only 3 for 1. Food Ruler running in right now with the satchel charges is able to get that frag onto Cutler. So they open up B, but they also have taken control of mid side with that spike. They know that Brax somehow is still going to be lurking towards his A, so Drone is still staying back, making sure that he brings that 1 versus 1 and watches the back of his teammates while the rest are still focusing towards his B hold.
This is the comeback potentially for TSM, and this is the type of round that you need momentum to come back into your favor. Brax, unfortunately, very separated from Food. I mean, it's good social distancing practices, but at the end of the day, for Food, it's not going to be good. It doesn't work out for him. They can't swing together. He's going to be taken out. Sabrosa almost with the ace, and he might be itching for it. Brax, though, maybe looking for an opportunity to somehow redeem himself here, being quite separated from the lurk. And wow, you know, considering the positioning there from TSM, didn't really have the economy to spread, really believed in Sabrosa. And we talked about it in the pregame, saying, this guy's the new IGL. This guy's the one that is now calling the shots. And so the team had to believe in him as he pushed up towards the middle, right? For the side of T1, you open up tab, you open up the scoreboard, say to yourself, wait a second.
I have retrieved the spike.
That's a pretty good pick. Now he has the spike. He might actually jet line over towards the A site, but he goes towards B. Wardell's actually going to be there. He's going to team with the op, and he's going to send him down. But, you know, the team believes in Sabrosa, and we questioned it. Oh, we asked the question, would it work out? So far, it's not looking too bad.
I need this.
Yeah, you could definitely still frag right now playing as the IGL, especially on top of that. He's keeping the same agent that he usually plays. Like I said, a map like Split probably is a map that they don't really practice here as TSM, but out of the map pool, there's only 4. With their main map being banned courtesy of T1, they have to play this map. So they go back to their roots, to what they're used to. So even at that point, we don't really know if it's Faze calling the one for this map as well. But if it's still Sabrosa, he's still able to put the numbers up, still able to put the frags, and definitely on that previous round, you had no choice with the time remaining to run towards his B side for Brax, who loses that fight, but still, they are 7 points ahead in this map point in favor of T1, with the action kind of calming down towards his mid. So Rosa has an orbital strike. What they could maybe do is throw a frost orb towards the ground. There you go. Well, frost orb towards the ground, courtesy of Faze, but it's still making it a couple times. So Rosa gets the lead, the kill onto Crashies, and that's a 5-on-4 to start early for TSM.
And he's going to smoke himself off. Gets the safety, pre-fires through the smoke. He's actually going to get taken down to 56. But it is, of course, going to be Faze heal orb that'll bring him back up to full. But ACK on the opposite end, he's going to be still trying to find his way through, and he's not really quite healthy. Wardell with the op. I mean, you say he don't miss, but he's going to miss that one. And Skadoodle with the ghost. Oh, send my regards. And now, still down to the 2v4. We'll see how Skadoodle and Brax can get the job
You will not kill my ally!
If Brax gets the kill, then maybe they're going to go for a res. No, he's actually going to run all the way back towards spawn. So Brax is going to lurk around. It's pretty much going to be a 1 versus 1 inside the A site, as they haven't really cleared it, right? Brax says, okay, I made it into ropes, but you still have to try to clear site Skadoodle on your own in a 1 versus 1. But as Skadoodle is walking into there, they're not going to have enough time for 1 to clear. So Drone should get the easy kill, and there you go. He even peeks down on top of that. There's 6 seconds left on the clock, and now as they're coming across here, Drone is looking for that frag, even a curveball to make sure the spike has to be planted because he blinded himself. And now he's actually, okay, at least he's going to win that fight. He's with low HP, so Drone at least gets that last kill onto Brax. He was going to get stressful at that point because Brax was still alive, right, towards his heaven. While this action was happening towards his A side, if Brax was able to land another headshot kill with a share of some sort, with the way that he's working, it would have been dangerous there. But that should have been a kill, and at least a spike that shouldn't have been planted for T1. So a slight mistake there for TSM.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know if that's the difference maker for them to have this full spy here, that they're able to get everything that they want, the armor, the abilities, but it still adds up, right? Like it's not something that should be taken lightly, and not only in the economy's sake, but in terms of the actual play that is happening. You know, TSM should not be letting some of these little slip-ups occur.
Talk about confidence here.
Yeah, and to say TSM a week from now, a month from now is a top 3 team, you wouldn't think that with some of these little trip-ups. Yes, the performance might tell us differently, but they still need to shape up some of these issues that are rough around the edges. But T1, they're not safe either. They still have a couple of their own little slip-ups too. But now, the spike, of course, gone down. T1 with a great basket. Has to deal with attrition. That's a flash from Crashes. Has to deal with the people coming in from behind. They're coming in, I think, from above. So far, it's 2 frags for TSM. That's 3, that's 4. Down to 1 final player. Crashes gonna find one early. Has to escape back towards his hole. With that spike tick, he lives down. Oh, wow. That's gonna be another. Almost has enough to run it back, actually. That's good, but it's Wardell holds the angle. TSM, another round on the board for them. They stay alive for yet another round.
Very nice try there from Crashies. That was some crisp shots that he had, making sure that he secured as many 1-versus-1 positions as he could, and it came down to finally a double peek. Wardell, actually, if he missed that shot, it would have been a tough one, a 1-versus-1 versus drone, where he has better advantage and even a time in his favor. It was still a nice attempt. Money is still flowing, though, for TSM. They will be able to buy. But the difference maker right now is that just before you saw this replay come out was that on the overlay, you have, I think, 4 ultimates ready for T1 on this side. They could abuse it at this point because what happened on that previous round was a showstopper that gave a chance for T1 to move inside the site, played a retake for TSM. But now that they have a lot of ultimates, even looking for information with a Phoenix and an Omen, it's going to be a tough one here for TSM.
Still have a lot of opportunity to deal with the opposition.
Wow.
Faze plays very aggressively. That's the wall that goes up, and he's going to be hurt. Can't handle the heat. Get out of the middle there on split. Has to run away. Almost was able to find the frag, and Wardell has a couple of op shots that are sent towards the middle, but Paranoia will send him through the ropes and start to help and support Cutler here on this A site. But Brax, once again, sees one. It's Cutler. Wardell, he's ready for the swing, and if they swing together, he's escaped! And so much time bought for T1, but they don't really do anything with it. They start for a push towards the B site. A crossfire is set up by Drone and Sabrosa, and of course, we do have Faze playing up towards Heaven. With AZK now looking towards the middle, if he finds this pick onto Faze, this might actually be a great opening pick. They trade one, AZK's down, so now they have to focus. Are they going to push it towards the garage? Nope. They don't really rely on that frag that Faze finds. AZK's down. We can't push in. Let's back up and re-strategize.
So 4 versus 4, they still have a res too. This is when they want to work back towards mid. If they can actually get this kill into Faze, he gets 2 of his own. Finally, it's traded off. And thankfully, he actually killed the res from the attackers. Now Drone's trying to peek out. You do have the neural theft. He's now spotted inside the site. They're full spotted. Cutler forced to fall back. And as they're moving in, Drone wins it versus Food. There's only 7 seconds left on the clock. Brax has to go for the immediate kill. And look at that. They're playing for the time. They're running back. They're running away. They're securing the round. And Drone even secures the kill. 12-8 now as TSM is starting to make this comeback. But again, I don't want to do his caster's curse here. I still want to see a good fight. And it's going to be an eco right now for T1.
So that could potentially put us, well, I mean, that's TSM win the round. I mean, let's have a quick look at the replay before we talk about some of the repercussions. Drone just really holding it down here. And for T1, they tried the garage, and they're like, you know what, let's try Heaven. But they don't even get the trade. Haste finds 2 before he falls, and that opens up so many possibilities just down to Braxton. In a 1v4, only Calypso wins those. No, I'm just kidding. It's just tough. It's just tough. And there's a lot of pressure to perform, and in a 1v4, you also don't really know where everyone is, and they could really just... He also didn't have time. But this pistol puts us 12-9 in the off chance of crazy. So, which might happen. They find one, but they'll mow down the rest that put in. Spike will go down for AZK, and at least they get that money in. But if TSM win the round that follows here, this gun round, they could potentially take us to OT, and that's where things really get interesting because T1, we know that they're struggling with the economy, but that means that they only really have maybe 1 or 2 rounds good that are left in them, and for TSM, they just need those rounds to go well, right?
Yeah. Overall, when you look at the scoreboard, though, for those watching in the chat, you could see how this match is really, really close in terms of the people that are supposed to frag or on top here of the scoreboard. Having Food and Crashies on top there, Brax was the one that was actually fragging a lot as a Cypher on the defender side. Finally, on the attacker side, you want to have the duelists being the ones that get the entries. They're getting it right now. But for Wardell, still on top of the scoreboard, nothing surprising. Drone is at 14, and I think in the past 2 rounds, he was at 8 kills. So he was falling behind for a bit. He gets a good round on a gun round, has his stat versus an eco, and that could bring the confidence into this round here. And other times have turned because now the advantage in terms of ultimates, comes in favor of TSM. Even on top of that, without any ultimates yet, we have Brimstone, Sabrosa, that gets the first kill towards mid. They still have a res to work here for T1, as they might want to try to use it because they have a gun round here. We'll see what happens now for TSM, as they're actually playing 2 guys inside the fence. Very passive play towards the B side. So they're looking to possibly play a retake play on B for TSM.
This also could be an answer towards Brax. Like, thinking,
Yeah.
okay, if he's going to be playing so heavy towards this A side, and we've kind of seen it consistently, let's have some backup. You know, if Wardell falls, that's an easy, quick rotate from Hayes to Sabrosa, and they stop Brax from pushing forward. But now that they know he's here, and, you know, we were talking a little bit about it in the first half.
You
don't
will not
normally
kill
play
my
towards the rope
ally.
side. So Best comes in, Sabrosa's going to try to at least spray in. But now that Foodie gets involved, and it's a headshot for Sabrosa, sends him back down. And while that res was supposed to come in, it was quickly taken care of by Sabrosa. Now pushes in, they don't know he's there, finds a pick onto Crashies, and it's a great round here.
And 4.
Made that a 4K. Holy crap. So he's looking for the ace right now. Brax, as they spotted him early with the camera towards that mid-round, 10 seconds left on the clock. He's going to have to try to save his Phantom into the next. But a nice, flawless round so far coming in for TSM. They're really trying to hunt him down. And he's going to get 1 or 2 kills, actually, and finally straight it off. There's actually one more still alive. It's going to be AZK. As Wardell still pushing forward, the right click does not come into his favor. AZK gets the kill, and he should survive at this point, and he will. So they come out with only 1 weapon. Yes, they've done a lot of econ damage, but with the amount of rounds that have been won in a row for TSM, they wanted to go for that hunt. They're okay for that. And you see how the strategy changed a bit for TSM. They know how many times Brax is actually lurking towards this A side, so they actually put a camera up towards this A side. Usually the camera plays towards B. You have trap wires playing towards this mid side, but as it gives so much respect for Brax on this A side, they really want to try to get that information as to, okay, when is he going to go for that flank? And when he goes for that flank, they could still play their retake towards B. That's been working out in their favor. So a great job for TSM to adapt, but now T1 knows this. How do they react to this?
Well, it's just unfortunate that they've conditioned their opponent.
Joke's
to think
over.
Brax
You're
is
dead.
gonna push in. And I'm liking this early rotate. He's going through the ropes. He's going to come support his team. Drone tries to back to gather information, but it's the clone that quickly dissipates. And now Brax, he's there with his team. He's there to protect Crashies. They're going to try to push in. They're still waiting for this push that might come in from Brax on the A side, and they've committed a lot of resources, like you said. For the first time, and I think this entire second half, he's playing towards the mid of the team. And that means when they push in, if they trade, these trades are going to go well. You see the setup. AZK, ready with the paranoia. There's 2 towards heaven. It's Drone and Sabrosa, 2 of either current or past IGLs for the team, ready to try to stop any of these pushes forward. They come, the orbital strike is going to make it that much more difficult. There's the showstopper, and it's just bad news bears for TSM. But the rest comes in, they nullify those odds, and T1 now, how are they going to push in? They have to deal with the shot that's coming in from heaven. They use the only clean on it. The noodle, he actually walls up Wardell. He misses 3. That's up in the air, and AZK will take him out. But it's pandemonium on the site, down to 1. Skadoodle, does he have what it takes? Now it's the 1v1. Drone versus Skadoodle. Sorry, Sabrosa versus Skadoodle. Does he have time? 9 seconds remain. Gotta get the fight down. And Sabrosa, he walks right through the barrier orb. 12-11 TSM, 1.1 round away from tying us up and taking us to OT.
What a great try there from AZK and Skadoodle at that point. I mean, AZK did everything he could in his favor to try to get those frags. The entries were perfect for Food to give a chance for the 3 players pushing forward, now remaining 2 players inside the B side to try to clutch it, right? Because now you know the rotation is coming in from the Heaven side, and he did what he could. He got 2 kills. It came down to a 1 versus 1. The best odds possible for T1 after losing those players so early on their early rotation from TSM. So 1 more round to go. They're so broke in terms of the economy, at least for T1 side. I'm sure there's going to be some rifles here, but there's a couple probably that will have bulldogs at this point as well. So they double up inside that site. They are playing this retake that works out again for TSM, but this time they're going for a step towards B. And Sabrosa, he's everywhere on the map. He gets kills towards mid. He now gets kills towards his B side, and he's also making it closer for TSM to bring us into overtime.
Yeah, and that would be very, very tricky. You know, the ult economy would be just...
Smokes down.
Nobody would have ultimates, to be honest, because it would just constantly reset round after round. It would be down to the abilities, down to the gunplay, and down to the strategy. And so far for T1 on this attacker side, really hasn't worked out. I mean, you love to see the Brax lurk, but TSM, they found an answer. Let's just have Sabrosa. Let's just have Drone. Mix it up. Play towards heaven. Play towards the site. Play towards ropes. Let's just keep it fresh, keep it comfortable, and have T1 say, what the hell? How did Sabrosa be in ropes? He's never in ropes. He's always in heaven. Wait, how did I die to Sabrosa in the tunnel towards the garage? Wait, wasn't he supposed to be in heaven? Keep the team guessing where you are. And while Praxis picks have been good in the first couple of rounds, it hasn't been working out.
Stuffed.
Well, we are pushing into the site. 15 seconds left on the clock. They have no money, so we only have a Marshall right now
Out of
for
charges.
Elisa's stage. And it's going back and forth, and the clock is still ticking. They're finally getting the plant down. They've cleared out the A site as well, and they have big fraggers for the team. Talking about A, you're talking about Food, and now you're talking about Skadoodle as well. But Bro is still alive for TSM. Gets the first kill. They also have a heal from the Sage that could be used right now once they meet up, or unless it's on cooldown at least. But Food's in a great position under the heaven. A crossfire set up with Skadoodle as well. The wall is going to come up at the same time, so they might bait the switch. Skadoodle gets the first
Nice.
The swing comes through, sorry, from Food, and he gets a third kill onto Drone, and they almost made it to the tie, but they don't cross the finish line.